To the episode of Rock Boys Football Tuesday afternoon. The Miami Hurricanes commitment sweatshirt comes back on, and this one's a monster, right? Five-star offensive tackle Jackson Cantwell committing to Miami. What a wild ride it's been for all fan bases involved in this recruitment. Look, at a certain point during this recruitment, Oregon has led, Georgia has led, Miami has led. I feel like people forget, like coming out of spring, Miami was the team with the most amount of buzz around Jackson Cantwell. Can we start with this conversation real quick? It's been widely reported that Miami has the highest offer on the table for Jackson Cantwell. Like Mario Cristobal and this coaching staff, they pushed their chips in to go out and land Jackson Cantwell. That can be true. But at the same time, we don't need to discredit what Mario Cristobal and Alex Mirabal have done developing offensive linemen during their career. Like, I feel like there's this narrative spreading that he's only going to Miami to go take the money, and that this program, this Mario Cristobal and Alex Mirabal, don't do a good job developing offensive linemen. I mean, you look at the Miami Hurricanes offensive line going into 2025, it's a very good chance that you're looking at one of the best units in the country. You're probably going to see Francis Mauigoa go in the top 10 of the NFL draft. You're probably going to see Inez Cooper maybe go in the top 100. You're probably going to see Markel Bell go pretty dang high in the NFL draft as well. Let's not act like Miami doesn't develop offensive linemen pretty damn well. And that's not a shot at Stacey Searles and what Georgia does, because we all know Georgia pumps him out too. But I feel like there's this narrative created around this recruitment because of the reporting about NIL that it's the only reason he's going to Miami. Like, I think there was a reason that Miami was leading for Jackson Cantwell coming out of his visit in the spring. There's a lot to sell there with Mario Cristobal and Alex Mirabal. And like we said yesterday, look, y'all know I got question marks about Mario Cristobal as a head coach in certain departments. Developing offensive linemen from him and Alex Mirabal are certainly not one of them. Now, I want to get into why this was so big for Miami, why I think this makes sense for Miami as well. And I want to have the conversation of, look, is it worth it? I think we're all well aware of the resources that Miami is going to be given to Jackson Cantwell as he comes to Miami. Is it worth it? Is certainly a question we're going to talk about as well. Before we get into it, as always, I think more importantly to the Miami Hurricane fans, y'all let it fly in the comment section. A lot of takes to be had. And look, Georgia fans, Oregon fans, y'all let it fly too. This has been a wild recruitment, one that we've talked a lot about over the last couple of months. Appreciate y'all rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, let's get into it. Now, we don't need to dive into the film of Jackson Cantwell. I think y'all probably have watched plenty of Jackson Cantwell. You probably know what he brings to the table. If I were to sum him up as a football player in 30 seconds, this is 6'7.5", 330 pounds. The most powerful offensive lineman that I've seen come out of high school in quite a long time. And that's not only what the film's telling us. You turn on this kid Friday nights, he is overwhelmingly powerful. But I think just as importantly, he has the weight room numbers to back it up. He has the throwing metrics to back it up. This is a guy that, I mean, both of his parents were Olympic throwers. And you can tell Jackson Cantwell is the kid of those two parents, because this kid is big. He is powerful and a really solid athlete for the size and for the frame. I don't think he's the best athlete at the tackle position ever, but with the strength and power that he has, with the frame that he has, with the length that he has, the athleticism is nowhere near a problem. He's going to be at least in my opinion, a guy that plays a lot of football and a lot of high level football for Miami over the next couple of years. Now, why did this make sense? Again, this is kind of going back to how Miami gets this recruitment done. Look, there's no question that NIL plays a role in it. I don't think Miami fans are arguing against that. There were some other factors, I think, pushing Jackson Cantwell to Miami as well. Most notably, again, the development that Mario Cristobal and Alex Mirabal have historically had happen with offensive linemen. But just as importantly, like the early playing time. There's a very good chance. In fact, I would wager my money this is how it's going to look. Francis Mauigoa, he balls out this year, goes to the NFL draft, top 10, top 15 NFL draft pick. Miami's looking for a starting right tackle going into 2026. If you had to ask me right now, who's trotting out there week 1 in 2026 to start for Miami, I would probably tell you it's going to be Jackson Campbell at that right tackle spot. Number one, because Mario Cristobal has not been shy about starting true freshman tackles, right? We saw Francis Noah do this a couple of years ago. Number two, and I don't say this very often about high school offensive linemen, this kid's ready to jump up to the power four level and go out and play. Now, technically, there's probably some things that need to take place. And I think that's going to take place as he gets on campus to Miami. Physically, there's nothing that needs to take place. This kid is physically ready to play college football as we sit right now. And it's only going to get better as he enrolls with Miami and gets in a college football weight room. This is, again, one of the more physically developed and physically impressive individuals we've seen come out of high school at the offensive line spot in a very long time. Now, the last conversation, I think a very pertinent conversation to have is it worth it? You know, you're seeing reports, and I don't love talking numbers surrounding NIL because it's really hard to get a sense of what's true and what's not. But the consensus is, 2 to 2.5 million a year with an ascending salary there. Again, I think the number is not important. I think what is important is, look, Miami's pushing a lot of resources to Jackson Cantwell. And we saw Miami not get into the bidding war for AJ Halsey a couple of weeks ago, probably with something in this in mind. It's like, hey, we're not printing money. Miami, we know Miami's the best way to say it's probably, we know Miami will play ball and they are not short on money when it comes to playing ball in the NIL landscape, but the number's not unlimited. And I think you saw Miami look at AJ Halsey and say, hey, we could go get AJ Halsey for, over $1 million for 6 months of his service, or we can say, hey, that's a little bit pricey. We want to make sure we have enough money to go out and push it in for Jackson Campbell. And that's kind of what Miami's done. Now, we know there's a lot of resources going to Jackson Cantwell. Is it worth it is the question to me. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to find blue chip offensive tackles coming out of high school. Doesn't get much more blue chip than Jackson Cantwell, especially in terms of how Miami wants to run this program, how Mario Cristobal wants to build this roster. We want to be big. We want to be physical along both sides of the line of scrimmage. Like, who are the players that Miami has really ponied up for on the high school recruiting trail? It's been guys like Francis Noah. It's been guys like Samson Okunlola, even though he might have not hit, but they still ponied up for him. It's been guys like Justin Scott. It's been guys like Marquise Lightfoot. It's been guys like Hayden Lowe. The names that Mario Cristobal is very comfortable pushing his chips into the middle of the table for, line of scrimmage players. Jackson Campbell was one of those guys. Number two is this probably prevents you from being really desperate in the transfer portal in, 8 months to go get a tackle in the portal going into 2026, where if you missed out on Jackson Cantwell and you missed out on a guy like Kenny Pepe who committed to USC, my personal take was, if Markel Bell and Francis Noah go to the NFL draft after this year, Mario Cristobal in Miami probably would have had to pay a pretty penny to go get a mercenary tackle to come in for 12 months. Now all of a sudden you put that money towards Jackson Campbell. You get him not for 1 year, but for the next 3 to 4 years. To me, I'd rather put my money towards a guy that's going to be with our program for multiple years. That really, because guess what? You ain't going to find a tackle in the portal that has the upside of Jackson Campbell. This is a guy that we could be talking about in 3-4 years being a top 5 NFL draft pick. To me, yes, you are investing a lot of resources and a lot of financial resources at that into Jackson Cantwell. To me, in terms of where Miami is from a depth chart standpoint, this makes sense. Because I don't always say that for offensive linemen, because a lot of times, look, if you're going to pay a kid $1 million first year on the offensive line to come into your program, most kids aren't playing first year on the offensive line. Like, Jackson Campbell is going to be a guy that probably does start year one. And so it makes a little bit more sense financially as well. This one was big because I think you found your starter in 2026. It was an offensive line class in 2025 that probably was a little bit underwhelming for Miami. And I think Mario Cristobal knew that and said, hey, we're going to push our chips in and go make it happen in 2026. And you do just that with the number one prospect in the 2026 cycle. really excited to see what Alex. I'm really excited to see the picture of Jackson Campbell and Alex Mirabal standing next to each other, but really excited to see what the development looks like for Jackson Campbell over the next couple of years at Miami. Big win for Mario Cristobal, classic Miami Hurricanes fashion. We'll sign out on that. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.